Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I am Deepika Mehto, and coming up in the next 30 minutes. Saurya Airlines plane crashes after takeoff from Tribhuvan International Airport in Nepal's Kathmandu. It was carrying 19 people aboard. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman dismisses opposition allegation about allocation to states, says every state cannot be named in the budget speech. US presidential election set for a high-decibel aggressive campaigning as Vice President Kamala Harris targets Trump at a campaign rally, compares her background as a former prosecutor to his record as a convicted felon. US Secret Service Chief Kimberly Chittle resigns as heads begin to roll for security slip at Donald Trump's rally on 13th of July. Ronald Rao appointed as acting director of the agency. And death toll from two landslides in southern Ethiopia jumps to 229, could rise further as the search for survivors and casualties continued into day 3. To get to the breaking news now, a plane of Saurya Airlines crashed at Tribhuvan International Airport in Kathmandu, erupting into flames. The crash occurred after the Pokhara-bound flight suffered a runway excursion during takeoff. 19 people, including aircrew, were aboard the Pokhara-bound plane. Efforts are underway to extinguish the fire currently. Police and firefighters are carrying out rescue operations at the accidental site. Pilot of the flight has been rushed to the hospital. More details are awaited. We'll keep tracking this developing story for all our viewers. And now, first, let's talk about budget. Top industry leaders and market experts have hailed the centre's economic outlook post-budget presentation.
This budget has had a pretty much the single point agenda to help create jobs. And for job creation, whatever is required, the budget has done it on the government side, but thinking out of box, they have tried to also incorporate the private sector, including the top 500 companies which have to create 1 crore jobs using their CSR money, and also providing provident fund related incentives as well as the first salary to be reimbursed by the government, and many such sort of incentives have been given to the private sector by the government to create further jobs. So for me, I would call it a job creation budget, but overall the government has also focused on keeping the infrastructure focus also intact, so that 11.1 lakh crore, which was announced in the interim budget, has been kept the same.
Besides, people from the field of education and banking sector also applauded the budget, saying this is in line with the expectations of people and will also create new job opportunities.
Our Financial Minister, Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman Garu, has given a very good asset to our ladies on behalf of this budget by extending the Mudra loan from 10 lakhs to 20 lakhs. And also she is giving one more opportunity for our ladies, that it's a great deal by cutting down the registration charges and stamp duties to a lower cost prices.
There were no changes in the old tax regime rate. However, there is a slight change in the new tax regime rate. What is that is, up to 3 lakh rupees, there is no tax. Earlier, from 3 lakh to 6 lakh rupees, 5% tax was levied. That has been increased to 3 lakhs to 7 lakhs. Now, from 3 lakhs to 7 lakhs, 5% tax is levied. And from 7 lakhs to 10 lakhs, it is 10%. 10 to 12 lakhs, it is 15%. From 12 to 15 lakhs, it is 20%. Above 15 lakhs, it is 30%.
Finance Minister has touched upon many very, very important things. I would like to mention few of them. One, it is a development-oriented budget. You have seen the focus on infrastructure related expenses, which is they have kept at 3.4% of GDP will be spent only on capex. They talked about road connectivity, bridges, flood control measures.
The Indian diaspora has warmly embraced Budget 2024, commending its emphasis on economic growth and innovation. The reduced import duty could prompt price-sensitive Indian consumers to re-evaluate their preferred shopping destinations, potentially altering established market dynamics as well.
NRI people are very, very happy because the long-term finance investment we are doing in India. So the duty is not affected for us something, but it's affecting the India is growing more and more. And we will see the Prime Minister has said that we are in the fifth economy world and now we are going for the third. So NRI investment and FDI investment more and more is going to the India. So we welcoming up this budget.
For all NRI Indians, I say very thankful to Nirmala Sitharaman. Thank you.
A day after Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman presented the Union budget, Parliament opened a heated argument on Wednesday. Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar has raised concerns about the frequent suspension of regular business notices, noting that in the past 36 years, such motions have been taken up only 6 times. He also rejected all recent notices for suspension.
I will call upon leaders of the parties to soul search and my reflections about Rule 267, that in more than 3 decades it has been availed only for half a dozen occasions. And every day of the sitting, I get number of such requests. It is being taken as a routine exercise, as a habit. It has reduced itself to a farcical exercise. In spite of my serious observations yesterday, since no focus has taken place, I have again uploaded the same on your portal.
Whereas in the Rajya Sabha, opposition member of parliaments walked out, claiming that Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman's speech failed to mention non-BJP ruled states. In a heated exchange, the FM defended the allocation.
In every budget, you don't get an opportunity to name every state of this country. I'll take this example. Between vote on account, which was presented on 1st February this year, and now the full budget which was presented yesterday for this year, I have not named very many states. But let me take the example of Maharashtra, for instance. Between vote on account and yesterday's budget, in vote on account and in yesterday's budget, I had not named Maharashtra. I'll take it as an example.
And to discuss more on this, I'm joined by DD India correspondent Dipendu Mondal. Dipendu, good afternoon. Now 20 hours have been allotted in the Rajya Sabha for budget discussion, and we looked at the uproar. We were just listening to Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman saying and defending her stand that not every state can be named in the budget announcement. But when we talk about the allocation that has been done to few states, which is meant for development, there is no question of BJP or Congress or the opposition either. It is all about the country. Isn't it, Dipendu?
Well, good afternoon, Deepika. That's right. Today we also saw Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman clarifying on that. Even yesterday during the press conference which was held by the Finance Minister right after the budget was presented in the Parliament, she even then when questions were raised about it, she did clarify that not all states can be named during the budget. So of course, why did she name those particular states of which she did during the budget presentation was, of course, there was no political reason to it, but then it was only because of the fact that these states needed much more developments, of course, but she also clarified that the budget, if you go through the budget document, each state's allocation is separately mentioned in the annexures, and if one goes through the budget document, one would be able to understand that it's not just the states that she named yesterday was only given money and that other states weren't. That's not the case, because the budget document clearly says that all the states across India were given enough allocation of funds for the development of those particular states. So of course, this is just the politics that is being played out by the opposition parties is just is what the BJP and the government is claiming. So of course, there is no question of being biased because we also saw the opposition staging a protest outside the parliament, including the Congress, the Trinamool Congress, the Samajwadi Party outside the parliament building. So of course, these are politics that is being played out on the inside the parliament, because of course the opposition parties do want to keep themselves relevant both within and outside the parliament. So of course, these are just petty politics that is being played, is what the BJP is claiming here. But the budget overall, the reactions that we have been picking up by speaking to leaders across board is of course that it has been a pro-people budget. It has been a budget that would create much more employment. It is a budget that has given scope to greater employment, because the government yesterday announced that the employers, how the employee and the employer both will be benefited by the government scheme that is being that has been launched during the budget. So of course, it is the opposite, as the BJP has been claiming, that it is petty politics that is being played out in both the house, both inside and outside the parliament.
All right, thank you so much, Dipendu, for joining us from outside Parliament and bringing us all the latest details on the current proceedings. Now, India's Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan has welcomed the verdict of the Supreme Court on NEET examination. He said that the government is committed to safeguard the interest of the students of the country and their future is not tampered with.
हम माननीय सर्वोच्च न्यायालय की इस फैसला का स्वागत करते हैं। हमने शुरू से ही कहा है, हमारी प्राथमिकता देश की स्टूडेंट्स है, देश की विद्यार्थी है। उनकी भविष्य के साथ कोई खिलवाड़ ना हो, उनकी हितों को हानि ना हो पाए, ये सरकार की प्राथमिकता रही है।
The Education Minister further reiterated government's commitment in making NTA that conducts the examinations as a zero tamper-free and zero error-free organization, and anyone involved in the process of tampered examinations will not be spared.
एक जीरो टेम्पर फ्री, जीरो एरर फ्री ऑर्गेनाइजेशन बनाने के लिए हम लोग कमिटेड है। मैं और एक विषय कहना चाहूँगा, ये सारे प्रोसेस में जो अव्यवस्था हुई उसमें से जो लोग इन्वॉल्व है, किसी को भी बख्शा नहीं जाएगा। सभी के ऊपर कड़ी से कड़ी कानूनी कार्रवाई की जाएगी।
Now, in Jammu and Kashmir, an encounter is underway between security forces and terrorists in the Trumkhan area of Kupwara district. Based on specific inputs regarding presence of terrorists, a joint search operation was launched by army and police on days leading up to the 23rd of July. Now, on the 24th of July, suspicious movement was observed and challenged by vigilant troops, in response to which the terrorists opened indiscriminate fire. In the ensuing fire, one terrorist has been eliminated and an official has also been injured. Moving on, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar will make back-to-back visits to Laos and Japan this month to attend meetings related to the Association of Southeast Asian Nations and the Quad. The minister will travel to the capital of Laos during 25th to 27th of July to participate in foreign ministers' meeting. This includes meetings of ASEAN India, East Asia Summit and ASEAN Regional Forum. Now, this year marks a decade of India's Act East policy that was announced at the 9th East Asia Summit back in the year 2014. Dr. S. Jaishankar will also subsequently travel to Japan during 28th till 30th of July to participate in a meeting of the Quad foreign ministers in Tokyo, along with his counterparts from Australia, Japan and the United States. Now, in the first high-level visit by the newly elected Labour government in the United Kingdom, Foreign Secretary David Lammy has arrived in India this morning. As per the official statement issued by British High Commission, the visit will push for a reset of the UK-India partnership through reinforcing UK's commitment to securing a free trade agreement that will benefit both the economies. During his visit to the national capital, Lammy is expected to meet India's External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, and then will head towards for the ASEAN Foreign Ministers meeting in Laos. Time to take a short break. We'll be right back, but still to come on the other side. Indian women's cricket team enters semi-finals at the ongoing T20 Asia Cup.
This week on Defence Dynamics, we dive into the turbulent waters of Indian Ocean, where shifting alliances and growing rivalries are redefining the security landscape. Discover how India's announcement to upgrade its military bases on Lakshadweep Island is poised to counter the nexus between China, Pakistan and now the Maldives. And also how the simmering instability in India's neighborhood, that is Pakistan and Bangladesh, could have a wider impact on the security dynamics of the whole region. Do tune in for strategic insights that will guide India's geopolitics in days ahead on a special episode on DD India, Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. IST.
Welcome back after that short break. You're watching DD India. Now, Kamala Harris has reiterated that she's ready to take on Donald Trump in the United States' upcoming presidential election. The likely Democratic nominee made her campaign debut in Wisconsin after securing the backing of key Democrats and record fundraising. Nick Harper sends us this report from Washington.
It has been an incredible period for Kamala Harris as she ascends to this position of presumptive nominee for the Democratic Party. A real whirlwind 48 hours since Joe Biden announced that he was not seeking re-election. Since then, there's been a number of firsts. On Monday, for the first time, she spoke at the White House as she seeks the presidency. She praised Joe Biden. She spoke about his legacy. And then on Monday night, for the first time, she spoke to campaign staff in Delaware, and on Tuesday she held her first campaign rally with potential voters. That took place in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, the very same place where the Republicans held their four-day convention last week, showing, I think, how pivotal Wisconsin as a state will be in this upcoming election.
Before I was elected vice president, before I was elected United States Senator, I was elected Attorney General of the state of California, and I was a courtroom prosecutor before then. And in those roles, I took on perpetrators of all kinds. Predators who abused women, fraudsters who ripped off consumers, cheaters who broke the rules for their own gain. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type.
And now Kamala Harris has won the majority of delegates. They have said that they will support her. It means that she is now the presumptive nominee. It's not official yet. That's likely to take place in the first week of August when the Democratic Party holds a virtual roll call to officially crown her as the nominee to go up against Donald Trump. Kamala Harris has put out a statement in which she says, "I am proud to have secured the broad support needed to become our party's nominee. I look forward to formally accepting the nomination soon." We've also seen a period of record fundraising. She raised $81 million in a 24-hour period, the most of any presidential candidate in US history. That money has only increased since then, now topping more than $100 million.
And because we are a people-powered campaign, that is how you know we will be a people-first presidency. And Wisconsin, this campaign is also about two different visions for our nation. One, where we are focused on the future. The other, focused on the past. We believe in a future where every person has the opportunity not just to get by, but to get ahead.
So she has managed to unify the party. There's incredible enthusiasm for her. Now she needs to convince undecided voters, in particular in swing states like Wisconsin, that her vision of the future is better than that of Donald Trump's. Nick Harper in Washington, reporting for DD India.
On the other hand, Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump said on Tuesday that he will go ahead and debate Kamala Harris, his new Democratic rival, in the upcoming presidential election. The former U.S. president told the reporters in a conference call that he was willing to do more than one debate with Kamala Harris. Now, Trump's remarks were his first extensive comments on Harris since Biden announced that he would drop out of the presidential race on Sunday. The head of the U.S. Secret Service, Kimberly Cheatle, has resigned following a failed mission to protect Donald Trump at a campaign rally in Pennsylvania less than 2 weeks ago. He narrowly missed being assassinated, sustaining an ear injury. One person in the crowd died from the gunfire and 2 others were injured. Cheatle gave testimony to a House Oversight Committee on Monday but wasn't able to save her job, as Caroline Malone reports.
Well, Kimberly Cheatle has now resigned just 10 days after that attempted assassination on Donald Trump at a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. He narrowly missed being shot in the head with a bullet grazing his ear, blood flowing from his head, and the Secret Service having to move him quickly off stage. But Cheatle, when she appeared at a hearing on Monday in the Capitol, wasn't really able to answer many of the questions that lawmakers put to her, including why they'd allowed a shooter to be on a rooftop within gun range of the stage where Trump was speaking, why, when they'd identified someone as being suspicious, that Trump was allowed to carry on and go onto stage, and how it was possible that this particular gunman who ended up on a roof carrying out the shooting and narrowly missing Trump was able to carry out the attack, even though members of the crowds and the public had identified this person and informed law enforcement nearby that they could see someone on the roof with a gun. Now, Cheatle may have resigned, but it's certainly not the end of it. There are a number of investigations ongoing into those circumstances and those events. President Biden has directed the Homeland Security Department to do their own probe. There's also a Federal Bureau of investigation into the events of that day. There's also going to be a bipartisan group from the Capitol, from the House, who have decided to look into it independently as well. There'll be 7 Republicans and 6 Democrats on a panel that's been jointly appointed by House Speaker Mike Johnson and Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. They've decided it's important enough that they come together in a non-political way to assess what happened on that day, especially when you consider the importance of reducing any kind of violence, particularly political violence, in the United States at a time of great divisions. Just over 3 months now, of course, until a US presidential election. So we'll definitely be hearing more about where this probe ends up going and potentially get some answers about what happened on that fateful day. Caroline Malone in Washington, reporting for DD India.
In southern Ethiopia, a death toll from 2 landslides has now jumped to 229, and it could rise further as the search for survivors and casualties continued into day 2. A landslide buried people in Kofa zone in southern Ethiopia regional state following heavy rain on Sunday night, and then a second one engulfed others who'd gathered to help them on Monday morning. Footage shared by the local administration showed people digging up bodies with shovels and bare hands. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed said he was deeply saddened by the terrible loss of life and that federal officials had been deployed to reduce the impact of the disaster. On to sports now. In women's cricket, at the ongoing T20 Cricket Asia Cup, Indian women defeated Nepal to continue their winning streak at the international cricket event. Deepti Sharma started with 3 wickets as India defeated Nepal by 82 runs to qualify for the semi-final stage. Arundhati Reddy and Radha Yadav also chipped in with 2 wickets each. Indian openers Shefali Verma at 81 and Thailand Hemlata at 47 stitched together 122 runs for the first wicket as India posted 178 for a loss of 3 wickets against Nepal. The women in blue will be playing against the runner-up of Group B. Earlier, India's stand-in captain Smriti Mandhana won the toss and elected to bat first against Nepal in their final group stage clash. That's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thought on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download it right now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Deepika Mehta, and from all of us here in New Delhi, thank you so much for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.